Do we have free will, or is every action of ours already predetermined? This has been one of the most fascinating and debated topics in philosophy and psychology. But neuroscience has a very interesting perspective to offer on this. Benjamin Libet's experiment is one of the most famous and disturbing experiments in psychology and neuroscience because it seems to ask that do we consciously choose our actions, or does the brain begin the action before we decide? Imagine you are sitting in a lab. You are told whenever you feel like it, flex your wrist. Don't plan it, just do it spontaneously. In front of you is a special clock with a dot moving very fast around it. Your job is simple. When you feel the conscious urge or decision to move, note where the dot was. At the same time, scientists are recording your brain activity using electroencephalogram or EEG. Now comes the shocking finding. Before the person consciously reports that I decided to move now, the brain has already started preparing the movement. This early brain activity is called the readiness potential. Libet found that the readiness potential began roughly half a second before the actual movement happened, while the conscious intention appeared only about 200 milliseconds before the actual movement. So the sequence looks like this. The brain first prepares the movement unknown to you. Then the person becomes conscious of intention and then the movement happens. That is why people found it so disturbing because it seemed to suggest that your brain decides first, your conscious self finds out later. In simple words, it looks like consciousness is not the king giving orders. It may be more like a spokesperson who announces decisions already started by the brain. But Libet himself did not say that free will is completely dead. He introduced an important idea: free won't. He said that maybe consciousness does not initiate every action, but it may still have the power to veto an action before it happens. So the unconscious brain may start preparing an action, but consciousness may say that no, don't do that. That means free will may not be like a king ordering every movement. It may be more like a security guard who can stop certain impulses before they become action. This is very relevant to real life. Suppose anger arises and you are about to shout. The impulse may begin unconsciously, but your conscious control can still interrupt it. That is Libet's free won't. Now, does this experiment destroy free will? Not completely. There are criticisms of this experiment. Firstly, the action in the experiment was very simple: flexing a wrist. That is not the same as choosing a career, deciding to marry, committing a crime, or sacrificing for a cause. Secondly, reporting the exact moment of intention is difficult. How do you precisely know when you became aware of wanting to act? And lastly, later researchers argued that the readiness potential may not be a clear decision signal. It may simply be background brain noise gradually building up until the action happens. So, Libet's experiment does not prove that humans are robots, but it does challenge the simple idea that I consciously decide everything first and then my brain obeys. This idea was definitely seriously challenged. It also suggests something much more subtle. Your brain is constantly preparing impulses, possibilities, and tendencies before you become aware of them. Consciousness may enter later, shaping, approving, stopping, or redirecting them. So, the deepest lesson is this: you may not be the absolute origin of every thought or impulse, but you may still participate in regulating which impulses become action. That actually fits meditation beautifully. In meditation, you notice thoughts arise by themselves, urges arise by themselves, and emotions too arise by themselves. But with practice, you create a space where you can choose, do I follow this or let it pass? That may be where practical free will lives, not in creating every impulse, but in awareness, inhibition, reflection, and redirection. Thank you so much for listening.